Okay, so in psychological research, we sometimes need to lie, and that's what a deception is. A deception is lying to a participant or omitting information to a participant so that you can achieve some sort of desired outcome. In the Milgram experiment, people come into the research laboratory and they come in pairs. And one of the research participants is a real person, but the other one is a fake research participant. A fake research participant is called a Confederate. It doesn't have anything to do with U.S. history. It just is a word that means, in psychology, a word that means somebody who's in on it. They are in on the study. And so this other person is pretending to be a research participant. And so in the Milgram experiment, these two people are told, or the research participant is told, that they're going to be randomly selected to either be a learner or a teacher. And the participant, the real participant, is always selected as the teacher. And the fake participant, the Confederate, is always selected as the learner, but there's a deception there. Now, the next part of the study is that the teacher is supposed to say a list of words, and the learner will then later say the list back. And so it's kind of this memory learning study. Now, the trick to the study is that every time that the learner says a wrong answer, the teacher, this participant, is supposed to press a lever on a machine that electrocutes the participant. Now, remember, the learner is not a real participant. They're in on it. And in fact, they're not actually getting electrocuted. In the Milgram study, they pre-recorded sounds of the person getting electrocuted and responding so that they could have all of that controlled for. But the participant who's the teacher is they actually think that they're shocking somebody. And a big part of the experiment is that they're supposed to shock them with more and more electricity to the point where it seems like they might be really hurting them or even killing them. Now, they weren't actually doing that, but the whole point of the experiment was to find out how far would people take this study given the fact that they also had a scientist behind them telling them to please continue. It was a study about obedience. And so this real participant was lied to and made to believe that they were shocking and potentially hurting somebody in order to see whether or not they would follow orders. Now, that deception is obviously necessary for this experiment. Is it necessary to observe uh, 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 that obedience through a deception like this? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. But what matters is that the deception did happen and that that deception could cause some trauma. Remember, in the beneficent section, you got to be careful about what trauma we could cause. And so in this situation, a lot of the people who participated in this study as teachers thought that they were really hurting someone and they felt bad, they were afraid, they had harm to their consciousness because they thought, oh crap, I hurt somebody today. That is a horrible, horrible thing. Now, if in research we have a deception, we always want to conclude the research with a debrief. A debrief is something where you tell your participants what happened in the study. So in that debrief, you're going to tell your participants that you lied to them, why you lied to them, and what actually was happening. So everyone who participated in that Milgram experiment eventually found out that they were not causing harm to anyone, and that the other person wasn't even actually getting shocked, so they were never in any danger. Now, does that mean that the psychological trauma caused by the study is completely fixed? Not necessarily. Some people might still be messed up by that experience. But a debrief at least helps ameliorate that problem. It helps make things a little bit better. It's also important that people at the end of the study are aware of what happened. So make sure that people know what was going on, and it helps to let them know what the purpose of the study was, as well as give them information. So if they need to talk to somebody, if they need to make a complaint, if they need help, if they would like counseling, depending on the study, you might provide a lot of different types of information for a person to take home with them and have in case they need to do something after the study. So a debrief is most often delivered in terms of just a piece of paper. It says, hey, here's what was going on in the study. We lied to you about this, and this is why. This is what actually was going on. If you want to talk to someone about it, here's a phone number, here's an email address, here's a name. Um, and you might even include what you hope to find in the study. The reason we did this experiment was because we thought that people would never actually shock someone until death, but we found that they did. Wowie. Okay, so there you go. Debrief and deception. Simple ideas, but they can get very, very complicated, and you can imagine just how important debriefs are, as well as how important and sometimes necessary deceptions are.